Entangled Reflections on Designing with Leaky Breastfeeding Bodies. This video contains images that might be uncomfortable for people who are triggered by representations of human body parts. The designs presented have been created out of care and love, and is through this lens that I wish viewers to see my work. These are the spaces and places where we breastfeed most, where we don't, where we kind of do, where we won't, where we privately suckle, where we publicly nibble, where we hesitate, where we negotiate, and where we unwind, bodies mingling in time. This poem of social spatial relations describes the physical locations where we do and don't breastfeed. It includes who of us and not of us is present and absent, and was the basis for sight writings around breastfeeding, such as in the bathtub. A generous white tub is filled with warm water, and probably some pee. Frog, giraffe, where did they go? In the bucket? On the floor? There they are. Is that a noise from the apartment above? Frog farted. Not the only one. Big waves come by surprise. The water stills. Time pauses. The tub is not empty, but no longer full, with droplets shaken all over the floor. In reflecting upon my ongoing breastfeeding experiences that began almost 2 years ago as a white, cisgender North American who resides in Northern Europe, I first placed each sight writing on its own page according to their order in the poem, and arranged the pages according to their approximate spatial locations as physical places. I then went through multiple iterations of moving the pages according to emergent themes as I added annotations and photos of 2 other design explorations: transforming milk into fiddling necklaces, and knitting bras for lopsided breasts. In doing so, some spatial locations remain physically accurate, and others are shifted in accordance to conceptual relationships and 2 initial reflections: generous absence and bodily mappings. Generous absence reframes absence from a lack of to an inclusion of presence in unfamiliar forms. In sight writing around breastfeeding, I deliberately make absent breastfeeding bodies to make present the social spatial relations of places that support its presence or absence. Absence, though, often carries a negative connotation in implying that something is missing. Perhaps in the everyday sense of being kind, a generous absence points to an inclusion as to why breastfeeding might be absent, but technology that supports it present, such as in grief pumping after the loss of a baby. Or, a generous presence of technology might celebrate a diversity of nourishing and nurturing practices when a breast or birth might be absent, such as in chest feeding. When she began preschool part-time at 15 months old, I desired an absence of expressing milk within a continued presence of breastfeeding. Click, tap, tap, click, click, tap, on 2 laptops on a big wooden table. The clicking stops. This room is still and silent. The sandbox is probably vacant, except for shovels and buckets. The ball is probably alone, except for traces of dirt and snot. Small chairs are probably occupied, around small tables with warm plates and cold glasses. In my awareness of her drinking cold glasses of cow's milk instead of our warm human milk, I reflect upon what other human and non-human bodies are materially absent and present in interspecies nourishing and nurturing practices that deeply shape what we eat, who we eat, and how we eat. Generous absence also reframes absence as non-existence to an openness towards the potential material consequences of design interventions. My desire to transform human milk into fiddling necklaces was motivated by frustrations during breastfeeding when she wants to fiddle with the other nipple. In taking away a breast, I hope to give something from the breast in return. I first experimented with transforming cow's milk into plastic because I did not want to tamper with our milk supply, or the invisible, immeasurable, and unknowable hunger between us. Of course, what I initially failed to consider is the inherent contradiction behind my design intent. Nipple fiddling, like suckling, is thought to stimulate milk production, so by designing to make absent the other breast, our milk and our bodies are materially transformed. Perhaps generous absence draws attention away from the body and towards bodily materials and bodily exchanges that are leaky in their inclusion of more than human matter, such as bacteria that is bilaterally exchanged during breastfeeding. While I am out running on a trail, fiddling necklaces might support my being away as a replacement, yet they also risk reducing fiddling to a commodity, rather than attending to our breastfeeding bodies and designs for them as a constant exchange of materials and forces and futures of unfinished becomings. Bodily mappings methodologically approaches bodies as entangled through a focus on layers of relations for subject diversities. Our dynamic and fluid relations between bodies and spaces includes milk within breasts, breasts within a bra among bodies, and bodies among a bed. A mattress on the floor encompasses most of the room. High on a dresser, the low hum of a humidifier fills the remaining space with a soft mist, faintly blue from its light. The night is long, interrupted in predictable intervals, yet ends too soon. On top of the mattress are 2 duvets, 2 pillows, and 3 indentations. The smaller in between 2 larger somehow takes much more space. Around 10 months postpartum, I noticed that the left breast was generally much larger than the right. In reflecting upon what it means for them, me, or us to be full, to feel being filled, and to fill up space unevenly together, I began knitting bras for lopsided breasts. While a bra is clearly oriented to the surface of a bounded human body, its measuring cups give surface to very real internal material changes, such as hormonal reflexes that leak milk, or fetal cells that remain present within a mother long after pregnancy and birth. From this perspective, a bra as a bodily mappings shifts in focus from a body to bodily to account for entangled agencies at the scale of and beyond the sociocultural imaginary of autonomous human bodies. Bodily mappings also methodologically approaches bodies as entangled through a focus on layers of activity for ongoing becomings. Early on during parental leave, I began knitting while walking as she napped. A stitch became a step and a breath, as the becoming of a bra aligned with the becoming of a mother and the becoming of a child and the becoming of a map. Gray wool socks, yellow sneakers, green underwear, big skinny jeans, a gray spandex tank top, one side unclipped, pulled down, a black wool top, split in front, pulled up, a folded muslin, fastened, a blue wool cover, snug, a white onesie, buttoned, pink cotton socks, green sneakers, small skinny jeans, a blue sweater with the wrong monogrammed initials, a gray fleece, a yellow overcoat, a ring sling of many colors, a navy winter coat wraps all, concealing most. Through a focus on layers of becomings, rather than the completion of an artifact, perhaps this bodily activity is about mappings rather than a map, as ways to reopen a narrative for revision and remaking. During everyday layers of bodily mapping, I often reflect upon what we are collaboratively overcoming and becoming, and our privileges in relation to uncollaborative overcomings and becomings, within ongoing histories of wet nursing and commodifications of compassion. I have finished knitting a first bra for lopsided breasts. Stitches have been cast off, loose ends have been tied and trimmed. Yet as a bodily mapping, and like the pages of this pictorial, it is far from complete. In attending to breastfeeding bodies as networked through pasts, presents, and futures of human milk exchange, I wonder how bodily mappings might otherwise illustrate and complicate new ways of showing and new ways of knowing. My intentions in sharing our breastfeeding experiences are twofold. The first attends to breastfeeding as a relational and unpredictable exchange of matter. I hope to propose alternative narratives of experience for designing within or for uncertainties, ambivalences, and perceived choices of parenting. The second attends to designing with more than human materials. In the context of interaction design, Leaky includes reckoning with entanglements that disorder bodily boundaries and individual human autonomy. The reflections presented thus aim to expand understandings of the relations that make up worlds.